Okay, Cengage, I hope everybody is trying to bring Cengage up to date, chapter 18. I'll forward you one of the other things.
I finished it.
Finished it? 100?
99.
Okay. How's everybody else say? Justin?
95, 96%.
Everybody's finished, so you're staying up to date good, and you only have one more chapter. We will not be able to cover 10 chapters. One more chapter, 19 will be it. And I'll finish this chapter today. Next week, I guess is the last week of classes, it went by fast. And has the faculty evaluation thing came out on your webpage yet?
Yeah.
It has? Okay. One day, hopefully, when we have better attendance, we'll take 10 or 15 minutes and go upstairs to the computer room and let you do that. Because if I don't do that, you'll forget not doing it. I had one class last semester, about 10, only one person evaluated. Okay? But anyhow, evaluations, we want you to be honest, so forth on those. But hopefully you do get those evaluations done. Anyhow, I've got Robert Brown over here taking makeup tests that you all did. I had to make up a different test. You all remember I had live streaming on when I went over the test. So, if I gave that same test to Robert, he had all the answers on live stream if you wanted. But anyway, Robert's little boy in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the hospital. He stayed up with them all night and drove here this morning from Charlotte to take that test. So, anyway, if you think you have it bad, somebody has it worse. Okay. Monday is the awards. I hope some of you all got letters about awards. I know I'm nominating 2 or 3 of you here. We had to do it based on your whole grade point average and your activities and so forth. But anyway, I know 2 or 3 of you all. I nominated about 3 of you, but 2 of you should be getting some kind of letter. Okay. And there is money involved in that. You got the accounting last year, I think, or you got the freshman or sophomore?
I got sophomore. You got sophomore.
Yeah, we did not for freshman, right? We used to give 2 in accounting, 2 in management, 2 in marketing. They put that just 2 now for sophomores, 2 for seniors. Yeah. Yes, it's going to get the overall winner this year. How'd you know?
I know. I have my sources.
You do? Okay. I might be not me, so get the overall winner. They get a letter anyway, so. George is fine. He's probably got probably a 3.9 average or something like that. Something like that. Anyhow, let's try to finish this chapter and try to get you to learn a manufacturing statement. Now, the other day, I think most of you learned what product cost was, materials, labor, and overhead. You learned what period cost was, selling and administrative expense. I really think most of you got that the other day. But we've got to work on a manufacturing statement today. But the first thing we're going to do is check some of your problems. Let me find the solution here real quick. I can't bring up solution first because I got to boot up the system first. Now, did Cengage have a manufacturing statement in it?
No.
It did or didn't?
I think so.
It did. All right.
Now, these don't match up with our book.
Come in, Eva. Is the rest of the anybody else coming? Eva, Carlos, or Arthur, or?
Yeah, they're coming.
Oh, okay. They're just slow when they walk Walks floor, yeah.
Good morning.
Morning. How about Millie? Is she involved in some activity somewhere? All right, Kelly, what were your problems due today on chapter 18?
7, 14, and 24.
Wait now. Did I give you 1A?
Yeah, that's it.
1A and what?
That's all.
Did I not give you 4A?
Yeah.
1A and 4A? And then there's some exercise we need to cover. But in number 1, if you'll turn to, I guess, page 915, it says classify these. Now, there's no need to take a ton of time on this. We did this the other day. Alexander, what is the cost of electronic guidance system installed in an aircraft cockpit?
Which exercise?
All right, exercise problem 18-1A.
Add that as a direct material.
Yeah, what do you have to classify? Cost is a direct material, a direct labor, or factory overhead. Indicate whether each period cost is self-administrated. Okay, say, how about special advertising campaign? All right, in the Aviation World magazine. All right, no. What is advertising? Advertising connected with what? Period cost, and it will be selling. Okay, have you pre-registered yet? Need to do that. All right, Kelly. Salary of a chief compliance officer of a company. Period cost administration. Margot, how about salary of a chief financial officer?
What are the options?
What?
What are the options?
Salary of a chief financial officer. Materials, labor, overhead, or a period cost.
I think it's product.
Now, this period cost, salary of a chief financial officer, he has nothing to do with labor or product. Now, a chief financial officer, would he be selling or administrating? Administrative, yeah. All right, how about decals for the cockpit door, the cost of which is immaterial to the cost of the final product? How about that one, Evan?
Is it overhead?
You could put those decals probably in overhead. I wouldn't call it direct material because it has nothing to do with the plane flying, it's an instruction. Cost of electrical wiring throughout the airplane. How about that one, Eva? Cost of electrical wiring in an airplane. Anybody? On that call? Which is direct and material. Cost of normal scrap from production of airplane body. Not that. Three product cost, look. And it won't be direct material, it's going to scrap off the main products. All right, how about an instrument panel installed in the airplane? Wake up.
Say that again?
An instrument panel installed in the airplane. Materials, labor, overhead. An instrument panel installed in the airplane is going to be one thing. What is it, folks? An instrument panel?
That's not material.
An instrument panel is part of the airplane, dude. Material. I thought you all got this the other day. I was wrong. Okay. Okay, cars come alive during petrol generation. Get this one correct. Okay. You all ever heard that advertisement, come alive during petrol generation? It's a no. Okay, depreciation on the factory equipment, Carlos. Factory overhead. Alright. Masks used by the painters, also, painters have to use masks, what would that be? Oh, the painters, they're putting paint on the automobile, the airplane, and they're wearing masks so they won't breathe the paint. It would have to be, yeah, factory overhead, it's not material, it's not labor, so it's factory overhead. Okay, Robert, we're moving now, so. Okay, Robert, cost of paving the headquarters parking lot. No, no. All right. So we got a book company making our textbooks. So they painted the parking lot outside. Does it have anything to do with this textbook? Is it materials? No, that's paint. Is it labor? No, that's the 10-minute machine operator. Is it overhead? No. It's has to be probably administrative. Has to be. That's a tough. But you're paving the headquarters, so that's administrative.
I don't know the 10 minutes factory overhead. Can you do this? I'm not sure what.
Okay, I'll try a minute here. Turbocharged airplane engine. How about that engine? Alexander, was airplane?
Product materials.
Okay. Rebuilt leather seats installed. How about that one, Jessica?
Direct materials and product.
All right. Now, most of the engines speak for themselves. If it's part of the product, it's materials. All right, if somebody's working on that, it is labor. Now, if it's a supervisor or a foreman or a flag person or a nurse or a janitor, it's overhead. They're not working on the product. All right, now factory overhead takes care of everything else to do in a factory except materials and labor. Now, factory overhead is depreciation on the factory equipment, depreciation on the building, taxes on the building, taxes on the employees' wages. It's all factory overhead. The factory overhead is everything.
Then we're administration. Is that another option?
All right. Now, when you make a product, you've got cost of merchandise. So we do a manufacturer's fee. But now, when you got that product finished, somebody has to sell it. They advertise it, they put it in the warehouse, they pay sales commission. That's selling expense. Had nothing to do with manufacturing cost. All right. If you got the financial officer or the president or the headquarters, that's administrative. If you got the depreciation on the home office, that's administrative expense. All right, but you'll see that better, I hope, in the next chapter too. Okay, look at these real fast. So I want you to answer real fast. We can't take all day on this one problem. Human Resource Department cost for the year. Period cost of administrative, hourly wages of employees that assemble the airplane.
Direct labor.
All right, direct labor, salary of the marketing department personnel. All right, oil to lubricated factory equipment. That would be overhead. Yearly cost of maintenance contract for robotic equipment. That's factory overhead. All right. Hydraulic pump used in the airplane's flight control system. Materials, sure. Cost of miniature replica of the airplane used to promote and market the product. Selling expense, isn't it? That's a new model that you use to sell the plane. What happened to the latest big airplane that was produced? Does anybody know? All right, the latest airplane on was 727 quad, but two of them has crashed. Last one killed a lot of people, and they would have drawn them, I guess from maybe American Airlines or somewhere, so they get something fixed. If they would nosedive, and you don't get second chances in airplane crashes very often. Okay, how about metal used for producing the body of the airplane? Material. Power used by painting equipment, electricity. That's your overhead. Annual bonus paid to the chief operating officer of the company. Administrative. Interior trim materials throughout the airplane. Material. Salary of the plant manager. Factory overhead. He is not working on the product. And how about annual fee to a celebrity to promote the aircraft? All right, that'd be what?
Selling.
Selling, advertising, sure. All right. Now, those you shouldn't have any trouble with in a multiple choice question on the exam, okay? All right, now we're going to look at number 4. Was it 4A? All right. 2A was classifying costs. 3A was classifying costs of a service company. And 4A is looking at a fill in missing blanks. Okay, we're not going to take too long to fill in missing blanks. We are going to practice a manufacturing statement. What did you have to do on 4A anyhow? Fill in the blanks? Now, I told you to only do one company, I think. Well, I don't know if these are the answers here or not, the way this is scrambled. All right. Trying to find my pen. Won't let me mark on here. All right, I want to go back to materials on this problem. So I'm going to bring up my notepad here in just a moment. And all right, we take beginning materials inventory. Beginning materials inventory. I'm going to call that just beginning inventory. We add purchases. That gives us materials available for use. Just like it would give us merchandise available for sale in a merchandising company. We subtract ending inventory and we get materials used. Now you have to be careful about materials used. Materials used could be $80,000. But out of those materials, 5,000 could have been indirect materials. So your direct materials would be 75,000. And your indirect materials, which goes into overhead, 5,000. So be careful with that. But you will need this format here on materials. Okay, back to the solutions. Now, if we try to fill in the answer for Reiner's company, materials inventory was 100,000. Purchases was 950. All right. Now you had cost of direct materials used in production. So you'd have to work backwards. Kelly, do you have A filled in? What do you have? All right, that's what it looks like here, 111,500, okay? Now, you can work back. You can take that little formula I just put on notepad and work backwards and plug in material. You can plug in any one of those, material purchase or beginning or ending or available, with which numbers you do have. All right, and we go on down, we've got to plug in total manufacturing cost. Well, manufacturing cost is materials, labor, and overhead. Margot, did you get that one?
Yes.
What'd you get?
5,598,500.
$5,598,500, right? Big part? Okay. And if we go on down, plug it in other numbers. So you're using parts of an income statement and a manufacturing statement. And the next item to plug in would be, that's BC, cost of goods manufactured. Jessica, you have that?
5,616,500.
$5,516,500. That would seem correct. And cost of goods sold. And we know beginning finished goods add to the manufacturing cost gives us finished goods available for sale minus ending inventory gives us cost of goods sold. How about D? Did you get that saved, Alexander?
Yeah, I got it, but it's something wrong, so like $400. I got $5,235.
5,235. Did anybody get 5,000? Is that 835? All right. I don't know which one you may have added right or wrong on that one, Alexander. I don't know if they'll give us a footnote on it or not. Okay, gross profit, we know that is sales minus cost of goods sold. Evan, did you get that one? All right, Jessica?
E. 3,585,000.
Oh, wait, I'm way down here on her. 3,585,000. And then F is net income. We know that's gross profit minus selling administrative expenses. Did everybody get, is that 580? Is that 580? Well, yeah, I'm down here. 2,585,000. Okay, now I'm not going to give you something like that on the exam, okay? But we are going to work on a manufacturing statement. Now here, it says prepare the company statements of cost of goods manufactured. Now here is what's important. I'm going to leave that up there for a few minutes. Does yours check out, Alexander?
I did the other one right here. I just said pick one. I didn't realize it was.
Okay. Does yours check, Jessica?
Just did the calculation.
All right. Kelly, does yours check that answer?
I did the wrong calculation.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, because.
Now, wait a minute. It is the other company.
Yeah, the book asks for the other.
Well, let's see. Did it not give us both companies?
No.
It didn't, did it?
So I just thought to do the.
Okay. Well, if you went by the one I told you to do that first, you wouldn't have to do a manufacturer statement. So, okay, that's what. All right, but do you at least see what's on the manufacturer statement? Because I want you to do one in a minute. All right, on the manufacturer statement, you have beginning materials plus purchases, materials available minus ending inventory gives you cost of materials used. You add direct labor, you add overhead, you get total cost incurred. Now, if you had no beginning and ending inventory, that would be your answer. But here we add beginning work in process and subtract ending to get your cost of goods manufactured. This would be your answer if you didn't have beginning and ending, if you didn't have any work in process. Okay, I will take up your homework for a 5-point bonus on the exam. And you will need it, okay? I will take up your homework for a 5-point bonus on the exam. And then there's a couple of you I've got to talk to. You put down 10 points on your Scantron for bonuses, and you did not turn in the homework. Who would do that? Who would try to fool me?
That's right.
Probably who?
That actually does.
Five, seven, four, eight.
Seven speed, five speed. Alexandra, Franco, and Margo. Need to see y'all real quick. Franco, Margo, Alexandra. Franco? Really? You just got an answer again. You're welcome. Okay, Dr. Sneed is handling the awards for Monday at 3, and he's having a hard time getting up with people. And 3 of the people, 4, Jacob Boggs, I need for you to call Dr. Sneed if you're watching this video or live streaming. And that's great, folks. 4 out of this class will get some kind of award, junior or sophomore on Monday. Must be 2 junior and 2 sophomore. They went by your grade point average. They had something to do with a tiebreaker. But anyway, I nominated as many of you all as I could to go by grade point average. Okay. All right, now we're going to back up and we're going to practice. We're going to practice a manufacturer statement. I don't see a real good one. I'm going to give you a real short one. I wanted a little longer one. Let's practice exercise 13. I'll get your homework in a minute too. Exercise 13. Now let me please take up your homework. All right. Homework. I'll go to the homework.
I didn't do crowd before.
Now I had 4 people handed in homework plus Alexander, 5. How come I asked you to put it on your schedule? If you did your homework, put 5. How come I have 8 people? I'll have 5 people, get 5 more points, and that's all, folks, okay? You better take this serious, because if I totally declare that as cheating, I'll give you an F for the class. But you don't want an F for the class, they couple through it all semester. I'll give you 5 points, I'll take care of that later. If you had good attendance, that's 10 points, pre-register's 5 points, yours 5 points, and you'll have 5 more points next week. And that will make 25 points you get on the exam. If you make 75 points, that's 100. Okay? And you will need it on a multiple choice exam. Okay, so let's get busy real quick and do number 13. It's very short, very easy. Use this up here as a model, and you don't have to go through all the material. All you're doing is starting right here, materials, labor, overhead, beginning and ending working process. So you got about 5 minutes to do this. Practice a manufacturing statement.
Yeah, I gave you one chapter in class, and the other chapter in yes. Don't scare me.
It's, yes.
I got that.
Okay, give me this statement. You got 5 minutes to get this statement finished.
Did you say 13?
13 is just filling in the blanks.
13 is ABC.
Yeah.
Whoa, maybe I made a mistake. Let me see. I'm looking at 14 probably. Yeah, it is 14. Sorry. 14. Sorry about that. Okay.
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah.
We just use this as a map, folks. Take the beginning working process plus materials, labor, and overhead. Gives you cost, manufacturing cost minus ending working process gives you cost of goods manufactured. Anybody have it finished?
I am, but I don't know if it's correct.
Good, let's do it over there. Alexander, what do you have?
Cost of goods manufactured, I got 2,567,400.
All right. We're getting close.
Yeah, it's 300.
Got it?
2004. What I was doing. Do you say? Yeah. Is that happy?
Yeah, fine. 13. Randall, which one is it? All right, how many of y'all did 14? Let's see your hands. Raise them high. How come the front of the room heard 14?
You're too far.
No, do what happened. I made a mistake. I said 13 first. I did. I said 13. Somebody brought it to my attention. It was just still in question mark. And I said, okay, let's do 14. So you
I was
all heard the
too
first
busy
time,
working.
but you didn't use the second time.
We're too busy.
All right, yeah. Okay, folks. So I want you to do a manufacturing statement. Now I want you to practice a couple of these for Tuesday. I want you to practice exercise 10 and problem 5. And you know I'll probably take those up and I'll probably count them as a bonus, so you've been forewarned this time.
What numbers?
Exercise 10 and problem 5. All right. Now, next Thursday, I will give you a manufacturing statement in class. I'll give you 15 minutes to do it. It will be 10 or 20 points of your exam. You have to take it. All right. Some reason you're absent next Thursday, then you'll be taking that same day you're taking the exam. But we got to do a manufacturing statement. This is the only statement in manufacturing accounting, cost accounting, or managerial accounting that you will ever see different from income statement, balance sheet, and capital statement. But now, let's see, Jacob and Franco and Margot and Alexandra, they're going to take us all out for lunch after they get checked next month.
Yeah.
I also want you to read chapter 19 for Tuesday, and we're going to look at a job order cost system. So if you have your books, I want you to turn to page 728. 928. I'm sorry, 928. All right, everything manufacturing accounting has two processes. One is job order, and one is process. Now, everything that you have with you today is manufactured. It went through a process. Everything you have with you was process accounting. That's chapter 20 that we won't get to. Now, job order. What would you order a specialist just for you? A job order. Now, if you had a tailor-made suit, it'd be job order. If Margot's ever lucky enough to get married, she might want a tailor-made wedding gown. That'd be job order, just for Margot.
Yeah.
All right, if Robert builds a house someday, that's job order. He wants that house to do for him. He's going to have a plan, he's going to have an architect plan, he's going to look at a plan in a book. That's job order. Now, if you get business cards made, that's job order. You can do your own now. Now, if you want an automobile, just go out and buy one, right? On the lot. But way back in the day, you go to the car dealership, they have you what you wanted, you ordered. You ordered it if you wanted to have air conditioner or radio or whatever. So it's pretty much job order at one time. But automobiles is a process. But if you have a handicap automobile or a police automobile or a taxi cab or a driver's education, it's job order. The driver's education card has 2 brakes in them, don't you? Okay. All right. Now, have you ever seen a used airplane lot? Not such a thing, is it? If you want an airplane, you job order an airplane. It's job order. Maybe your specs or whatever. But now you can buy a used airplane, somebody else owns, sure. But job order. A yacht is job order. Business cards is job order, so that's what this chapter is about, job order. Like I say, construction would be a job order. You want a mile of pavement, that is a job order. Okay? But everything we have in here, we don't job order a staple, we go out and buy one. We don't job order our books, they're made. We don't job order our tables, our computers. Now, I guess, who is the big computer maker nowadays? Who's the big computer maker? Apple and who else? Good factor, HP. What? Microsoft does not make computers. Computer?
Yeah.
I didn't know they made it. I thought they just made operating system. That's okay then. IBM used to make them, but they just got quit making them, I guess. But so many companies make computers now. All right, so look at the page I referred you to. And our first journal entry. Now we want journal entries in cost accounting, manufacturing accounting, managerial, whatever you want to call it. Not working today. My eraser is not working. All right, we take materials, we take labor, and we take overhead. Now, if you look at page 928, what do we debit when we buy materials? What materials, and what do we credit? So we got to buy these things, okay? Now, when we go to page 29, and when we send these materials over to the factory, the supervisor in the factory requisitions these materials from the warehouse. What do we debit? Now, when we send labor over, we're going to debit work in process. When we send overhead over, we're going to debit probably factory overhead. And then later we will debit work in process and credit factory overhead. All right, so turn a page if you would. Bottom of the page. We debit work in process and credit what? For the labor, right? Okay. Then factory overhead, we will have to debit factory overhead first. We don't know what it is, and we'll debit factory overhead first. Later, we'll put it work in process. So on page 932, indirect materials, indirect labor, utilities, and depreciation. So if I have depreciation expense, what do I debit in a factory? I debit factory overhead. If I have depreciation expense at the home office, what do I debit? Depreciation expense. If I have depreciation on selling equipment, I debit depreciation expense. But in a factory, what do I debit? Factory overhead and credit accumulated depreciation. I debit factory overhead and credit utilities payable. I debit factory overhead and I credit taxes payable. It is easy in a factory because factory overhead you debit for everything. Unless it's labor and material. Okay? All right, bottom of page 933. Okay, top of page 933, we'll have a predetermined overhead rate. So now let me show you this process here real quick. We take materials, labor, and overhead. We send them over here to work in process. And from there, we go to finished goods. Now, we debit finished goods and credit work in process when the item is finished. And then from there, we'll go down probably to cost of goods sold and sales. All right, we debit accounts receivable and credit sales. We debit cost of goods sold and credit finished goods. So this is your whole flow of goods in a factory. I'm trying to prove that with journal entries. But now on page 933, we've got to do a predetermined overhead rate. All right, a predetermined overhead rate. We got to take estimated overhead and divide by either estimated direct labor hours or direct labor dollars or machine hours. That's the three usually items that we use as denominators to divide into estimated factory overhead. All right. Now on page 933, we calculate an overhead rate here. We've got $50,000 divided by 10,000 hours. So our direct $5 per direct labor hour. So if we have 100 direct labor hours, what's our factory overhead? We have 100 direct labor hours. Now, what is our factory overhead? What's 5 times 100? 500. That's it. Okay. So down at the bottom of the page, we debit work in process and we credit at predetermined rate factory overhead. Now we've got a factory overhead T account. We got the real factory overhead on the debit side, and we got the predetermined rate on the credit side. All right, look at a job order cost sheet. I guess that's what that is on page 934. First off, we take time tickets, we figure up our labor, and that's still not a cost sheet. I don't see a cost sheet on this chapter, I don't think. But a cost sheet would have materials, labor, and overhead in it for that one job. For that one job. All right, now factory overhead real quickly. We've got a T account here. All right, now go back to page 932. How much factory overhead do we have on page 932? Yeah, 932. How much factory overhead? 4,000 what? All right. We turn the page. Do we have any more factory overheads? Any more entries? All right, what is your factory overhead on page 933 at the bottom of the page? Credit factory overhead, how much?
4,250.
4,250. All right. This is your actual, and this is your applied. We are under applied. As you can see, by what, 300? We're under applied by $350. We got to do something with that $350. And if you look at page 935, and we can use cost of goods sold. to get rid of that $350. Because it is cost. Now I want 350 credit here to balance this out. So I'll debit cost of goods sold for $350 and I'll credit factory overhead for $350. Okay. Now remember, if I give you a multiple choice test just on these two chapters, there's going to be a lot of journal entries and multiple choice questions. You may have to calculate materials used in a multiple choice question. All right, on page 936, again, they're telling you what to do with factory overhead. And then, of course, look at page 938. Somewhere we should have debit finished goods. Did I miss that maybe? No. Page 937, you debit finished goods and credit work in process. And then on page 938, you sell it. You debit accounts receivable and credit sales. And you debit cost of goods sold and you credit finished goods. Now, period cost at the bottom of the page is what you've always done. You debit selling expense or salary expense and you credit salaries payable. You debit commission expense and you credit commissions payable. Your selling administrative expenses, you've always done them since we had accounting and had entries back in chapter 3 or 4. Your new journal entries for manufacturing, managerial accounting, and that's the only entries, folks, you have to do in managerial accounting. They're the same entries in managerial accounting, the same entries in cost accounting. They just go with you forever. Sometimes we may list job 1, 2, and 3. Work in process job 1, work in process job 2, work in process job 3. Well, here we're just taking one generic journal entry. Okay, so read this chapter for Tuesday, and we've got Tuesday and Thursday of next week to go at this chapter real hard. I'll dismiss you for today. Please bring your sin gauge up to date on chapter 18.
No, we won't have to do chapter 20 on the page, correct?
No, you did not have to do chapter 20 on sin gauge.